Hello everyone, and welcome back. I am so glad you could join me for another reading. I just want to say right up front, less hair, less beard. Let me know in the comments what you think. Am I going to be that kind of person on YouTube? Hey guys, I just broke 700 subscribers at I just realized it the morning of recording this. It's Saturday now. Thank you so much, whether you subscribed because of the readings or because of the parodies or both. Thank you so much. I never, obviously I always hoped I would have, something like that, but I never thought it would happen. And it's been a lot of people joining in the last 2 months. So hello, all the new people. In addition to that, thank you to all my subscribers. I forgot to look them up beforehand, so I'm going to try and list them off the top of my head. Lizzie Roberts, Avalon Link, Christian Reese, I'm so sorry. Linda Oland, thank you, Mom. And, oh man, I am so sorry. Your name is here. I will get it on the next recording. I'm so sorry. I could restart, but I'm already going. We've used too much tape. Anyway, thank you guys so much. If you want to join them, there are links in the description. Remember to like, share, subscribe, the whole YouTube thing. Let's... Now that I've wasted enough time, and if there are more Patreon supporters, their names will have been listed here, if I remember, in editing. I'm going to continue. I've been looking into, before we start, I've been looking into the Netflix animated Red Ball series. Hopefully, I can find out how the casting is going, and if there's a way I can get in on that. If you guys would like to see that, share something on social media. Tag Netflix. I don't know. But now, without further ado, I think I've wasted far more than the usual 1 minute. Let's get back in to Chapter 7 of Legend of Luke by Brian Jacques. The gigantic goshawk took a pace backwards, allowing Trimp to rise unsteadily. From its black hooked talons and bright yellow legs up the mighty body, feathered in brown-tipped white plumage, to the mottled headcap, it was the most impressive bird Trimp had ever seen. Twin gleaming gold eyes with a savage black pupil stared down over a lethally curving beak. The goshawk's voice was rasping, harsh. "What dost thou in my domain, hedge pig?" Trimp had never been called a hedge pig. Bravely, she decided to retaliate. And swallowing hard, she adopted a stern tone. "Not that it's any of your business, bird, but I'm searching for my friend, a baby squirrel named Chugger." The goshawk twitched its head to one side. He had never been called bird before. "Prithee, have a care, spine dame. I am called Kra the Wood Watcher. None hath called me bird, and lived." Trimp became bolder. She stared levelly at the goshawk. "Aye, and I'm called Trimp the Rover by those with any manners. None have called me hedge pig and lived. And that goes for spine dame. Also." It was Trimp's turn to take a backward step. She thought Krar was about to eat her, but a moment later she realized that he was actually smiling at her, an unusual occurrence in a hawk. "Thou art a bold beast, Trimp Rover. Thine enemies must be few, bethinks, or dead. Say again the name of this squirrelmite thou seekest." "Chugger, but he'll answer to Chug. He's only a babe." The forest green was blotted out as Krar spread his colossal wings. He touched Trimp's head with a wingtip. "Do you tarry here, Trimp Rover, whilst I make inquiries?" Trimp was knocked flat by the backrush of air as Krar flapped his wings and rose among the tree trunks. Leaves drifted down through a golden shaft of sunlight as he shot like an arrow through the woodland canopy. Gonf came trotting through the woodland, catching sight of his friend as he hurried in from the opposite direction. "Ahoy, Martin! No sign of the little fella?" "None, mate. Have you seen Trimp?" Oh, you two, I'm over here. Both ran over to where Trimp was sitting with her back against the poplar, picking leaves from her head spikes. Gonf stood paws akimbo, shaking his head at her. Well, missy, that's a nice how do you do. Us two running ourselves ragged along the stream banks and through the woods, and you sitting here cooling your paws. Very nice. Trimp stood up, brushing herself off. Actually, I'm waiting for word of Chugger at any moment. Now, I don't want either of you to be afraid. Martin looked about and spread his paws wide. Afraid of what, Trimp? She pointed upward. That! Entering the woodland through the hole he had made in the treetops, Crar Woodwatcher zoomed in like a thunderbolt. All three travelers were knocked flat by the wind from his wings as he landed. Trimp patted one of Crar's talons. Now you'll have to stop doing that, Crar. It'll injure some poor beast some day. These are my good friends, Martin the Warrior and Gonf, Prince of Mouse Thieves. Meet Crar Woodwatcher, mate. These woodlands belong to him. Martin and Gonf gulped and bowed down at the same time. Crar closed both eyes and clacked his beak politely, as goshawks do when greeting friends. He turned to Trimp. Thy friend the squirrel mite is taken captive in the talons of laggardly carrion. Crows, I fear. Alas, 'tis sad news. Trimp was about to speak when Gonf silenced her with a wink. The artful mouse thief addressed himself to the goshawk, cleverly using the bird's own antiquated mode of speech. Lack a day, sirrah, and thou callest thyself ruler of this fiefdom. Were I in thy place, I'd say fie upon myself, methinks, allowing carrion to hold innocent babes in durance. 'Tis not a worthy act of a just lord. Much to Martin and Trimp's surprise, the huge goshawk shifted from one leg to the other, his head hanging slightly. Thou speakest truly, O mouse thief. 'Tis my domain, and 'twas fitting I stand chided for lack of vigilance. Gonf shook his head doubtfully. I fain would give thee a chance to redeem thyself, my lord. Crouching low, the huge bird spread his wings wide upon the ground, his face a picture of abject misery, his very feathers seeming to droop. Then truly woe betide me, though I crave a boon from thee, Prince of Mouse Thieves. Give me leave to effect the rescue of thy vassal, I beg ye. Grant me this favour, and I will be in thy debt from this day henceforth. A wave of pity swept over Trimp as she watched Crar prostrate at Gonf's footpaws. She could not keep from crying out, Oh, say you will, Gonf, let him do it. The mouse thief folded his paws stubbornly. Turning his back on the goshawk, he winked at Martin and Trimp as he spoke. Silence, maid, cease thy prattling. For how doth the Prince of Mouse Thieves know this creature will cleave true unto his word? Martin drew his sword. Touching Crar's bowed head with it, he kissed the blade and announced dramatically, I, Martin of Redwall, do give my pledge and bond that Crar Woodwatcher, lord of this place, will honour thy trust, O Prince. For he is not a warrior, for is he not warrior born like myself, and bound in word and deed to protect lesser creatures? Gonf paced up and down as if digesting this statement. Then he placed his football under Crar's beak. Say where is this place yon foul crows betide? A note of hope crept into the goshawk's voice. Some pines in a clearing, right close to here, O Prince. Thou and thy friends must follow me and watch whilst I free thy servant. But 'tis better be done soon, for tarrying is unwise, methinks. He watched avidly as Gonf nodded. Mayhap 'tis true. Go then, but hearken, thou hast this warrior to thank for this surety. A transformation came over the goshawk. He dipped his lethal beak and kissed Gonf's football. My thanks to thee, O Prince. He, standing tall, Crar spread his immense wings and saluting Martin, who was dwarfed in his shadow. And my thanks to thee, sire! Crar! Crar! The goshawk's blood-chilling war cry rang out as he whooshed into the air, bowling the three friends over as Trimp sprang up, pulling leaves from her spines. I wish he wouldn't do that. Gonf, how did you know he'd act like that? The mouse thief flicked a paw at Martin. Oh, it was easy. I know how warriors think. I've lived with one most of my life, haven't I, matey? Martin tweaked his friend's tail. Cut the chatter over, lose sight of Crar. Running as fast as they could, the friends kept Crar in sight as he winged slowly along, just beneath the treetops, taking care not to lose them. After a while, they saw a broad green hillock, thrusting itself above the woodland. At its top was a pine grove. Crar swooped down, landing alongside Gonf. "Yonder lies the carrion stronghold, O Prince. I pray thee make no move. We have been seen." As he spoke, a crowd of gray-black crows of the hooded variety came fluttering out of the pines like a ragged, dark pieces of cloth blown on the wind, coming to rest on the level sward beneath the hill. Their bold, harsh chatter filled the air as they swaggered forward to meet the interlopers, wings folded, beaks thrust forth aggressively. In a less fraught situation, the sight of their curious rolling gait might have been comical, but these were savage birds who brooked no trespassers on their land. Crar whispered, "Bide here, friends. Warrior, keep thy blade ready. Now I will go hence and parley, for I know the carrion tongue." He strode out, erect and disdainful, and a big crow, far heavier than the rest, waddled forward to meet him. At a point between the crows and the travelers, both birds halted. Eye to eye they stood, beaks almost touching. The crow leader hit the soil several times with his beak, casually, as if showing his contempt by digging for words. He made harsh cawing noises. "Ah! Ah! Yeah!" The goshawk rapped sharply back at him. "Ah!" The crow gestured carelessly with one wing. "Ah!" Evidently, it was not the answer Crar desired. The goshawk made his move without a moment's hesitation. Charging forward, he slammed the crow to the ground with a ferocious headbutt and began hammering him ruthlessly with beak and talons. Cawing and hopping about excitedly, the crow gang called out encouragement to their leader, but he did not possess the warrior's heart or ferocity of the goshawk. It was over in a trice. A few long gray-black feathers flew up in the air, and the crow leader lay defeated. With a sharp pecks and talon scratches, Crar forced the crow to stand. The brave goshawk rapped out a command at his beaten foe. "Chah!" Humiliated, the crow turned to face his gang, spreading his wings limply and drooping them so they trailed upon the grass. Trimp nudged Martin. "I know Crar has won, but what's he doing?" The warrior understood it all. He knew. "Those feathers that you see are the crow's pin feathers. Crar ripped them out. That crow will never be able to fly again. Crar forced him to show his wings to the others as a warning. Hush now, Trimp. I want to see what happens next." The goshawk took to the air. Sailing over the heads of the crows, he winged upwards, landing in the biggest nest atop the highest tree. A female crow shot out of it with a terrified squawk. Crar dipped his beak into the nest and came up with an egg in it. He put the egg back. Spreading his wings, he flapped them, screeching harshly at the crows. Then, with a powerful thrust, he ripped a chunk from the nest with his talons and cast it down to the earth. Pandemonium broke out down below. The crows dashed into the pine grove, cawing and leaping about in distress. Martin spoke as he watched them, having interpreted the goshawk's move. "He's threatening to rip all the nest to shreds, starting with the crow leaders unless they bring out Chugger. Watch." "Trimp, go and fit me, Chug! Here I are!" Dashing out of the pine grove with the crows behind, shooing him on, Chugger hurtled forward, tripping and rolling down the hill, giggling as he went. "You old feathery bottoms!" Trimp swept him up into her paws, kissing the little fellow and lecturing him at the same time. "Such foul language, Master Chug. Thank the seasons you saved. Why did you go wandering off like that? Oh, my little Chug, you had us worried to death." Chugger threw his tiny paws wide, grinning broadly. "See at me, Chug! I don't hurt it. Big birds frightened me. I'll smack him with big sticks, see?" Gonf hugged Chugger fondly and then turned stern. "You little fibber, smacking crows with big sticks indeed. But let me tell you, bucko, remember what Gerfang did to young Riddig, eh? Well, any more fibs running out to you when you're told to stay, and you'll get the same out of me." Chugger hid his face in Trimp's tunic and sulked. Martin threw a paw about Gonf's shoulders. "Big old softy, I wager you wouldn't have the heart to lay a paw on Chugger, would you, oh prince?" The mouse thief struck a regal pose, looking down his nose. "Oh, I don't know. You'd be surprised what us royal types can do when we're in the mood. I usually have a mouse who leans on me beheaded, so remove your paw, common fellow, afore you incur me wrath." Martin looked at Trimp in mock horror. Such an air of command these royal ones have about them. The hedgehog kicked Gonf lightly in the tail. Yes, so, Prince, it's your turn to cook the supper when we get back to camp. Krar landed in their midst, managing not to knock any beast over with his giant wings. He gestured with his beak. Best we be gone from this place. Methinks there be but one of me and too many of yon carrion. Let us away now! And that's where we'll call it this time. Another short chapter, but at this rate we should get through the book within the year. I could speed it up. We'll see how it feels, especially when I eventually go back to doing live. I think we'll go back to live when we hit book 2, when it switches over to the next part of the book. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad you could be here. For those of you in the chat, hi guys. Lizzie, I know you're in there. Everyone in the comments watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching. Another quick announcement before we sign off. With the announcement of the Netflix show, I wanted to get your guys' opinion. I am thinking of doing a video where I look at what we know about the Netflix show so far, its creator, if any writers have signed on board, what they've worked on, what we might be able to expect, what stories they might cover, as well as who we all would like to be cast in it. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely say so. Leave a comment so I can get started working on it. But still, like, share, subscribe, the whole thing. Links to support in the description. Thank you again to my patrons who will be listed here. I look forward to seeing you guys next week for the next chapter. Take care, be safe, wash your hands, and I hope you have a good week. Bye, guys.